Okay, all right. Lance Morgan here with Scholarship House talking to Donnie about his experience working with us. I know he is new, so he's just getting started. So I just wanted to talk to him specifically about kind of the onboarding process and getting started with our team. And so thanks for joining us. And thank you, Donnie, for joining us. Appreciate you having on. How's it going today?
It's going great, Lance. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, awesome. Well, yeah, let's start with that. Talk to me about how you first met us.
Okay, so my wife's cousin actually sent me a text and was like, "Hey, you have three kids going to college. You should look at this." And I actually don't know where he found it, probably like a Facebook ad or something. And we both had like our kind of like scam alert hats on. We're like, "What is this?" And I was like, "All right, I'll take one for the team and go investigate because his girls are younger than mine, and I have one going to college in the fall." And
Nice.
so I was impressed from the moment I had the first, I guess you call it sales call.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, this seems legit. And then I saw a bunch of your YouTube videos. It made sense. I asked like AI about this whole process, and they were like, no, it seems like it could work. And so then I bought in.
So you got the you didn't need a testimonial like this one. You had AI as a good testimonial.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
That's good. No, I'm glad that you said that you were skeptical because honestly, we are talking about big ticket items here. We're talking about buying houses to pay for college, and so clearly that is going to, be a big decision for families. We also, of course, know college is so expensive that we're all willing to investigate and learn because, hey, if there's a better idea, we'll gladly take it. I know as a father of 5 kids, I always tell everybody I learned all this through desperation more than inspiration, right? So we're definitely all ears when it comes to a better way to pay for college. But, I'm glad you said you were skeptical because most of our clients who meet us online, they are skeptical and they should be skeptical. I mean, you meet somebody on a Facebook ad and the next thing you're joining a program, and then you're talking about investing in a real estate property. Anyway, it's a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you were
And
skeptical.
I quickly did like the ROI math. Like,
Yeah.
all right, so my daughter's going to Lehigh in the fall.
Okay.
It's going to cost $90,000 a year. We already got the financial aid. Said you're not getting any financial aid.
Yep.
And so then there was like the cost of your program relative to how much I could save, and I'm like, well, if I could save more than X, like I'm already at break even for this, and hopefully I save even more. And so if I can, whatever, save 30, 40, 50, $60,000 off of that 90,000 per year,
Yeah.
then I multiplied that by 4 years, and then I multiplied that by 3 kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, we don't really need to do that much for me to get an ROI on the cost of your program.
I like the way you look at it. And I definitely look at it as an investment in working with us, obviously. You do get that one-on-one access to our team. Talk to me a little bit about that because I know it's important for me to make sure my clients get that one-on-one help. We didn't want to create a course. If I created a course and just sold you a bunch of videos, it wouldn't be as helpful, in my opinion, because I'm trying to make sure that we give you that white glove treatment. So talk to me about your onboarding process. Have you been able to have some one-on-one calls?
I have. I've had a lot of them. And I will say that was the most impressive thing so far because like I haven't bought any property yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just starting to do like the tax strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I'm in sales and marketing myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had like account managers and client success managers work for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like super impressed on how it was like, okay, so I had the call with Deborah. She's like, I'm going to be on every call. And I'm going to shepherd you through the process.
Mm-hmm.
There'll always be like another meeting booked. So you always feel like there's a next step and something coming up. And I just loved it. And so after the meeting with Deborah, there was the meeting with Luann, and then there was like the financial person, then there was the tax person. And so it just felt like I was a train going from stop to stop,
Nice.
which made me feel like I was getting to my destination.
Yes. Yes.
Which is obviously like saving for college and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
So I felt it was super duper organized.
Mm-hmm.
And then okay, so in addition to all that,
Mm-hmm.
every time I got on the call, I felt like I was talking to like a real expert in that space.
That's cool.
Like someone who really understood the FAFSA forms and financial aid or financial planning or tax or whatever it was. It wasn't just like some, 23-year-old, or no offense to anybody overseas, but like someone just like a VA, like a virtual assistant type person.
Yeah.
These were like real people that have been in the industry for whatever industry they were for many, many years. And so that was really comforting. And just that alone was like, oh my God, this is, not a scam at all. Like the furthest thing from anything that I should be skeptical about, just because of that institutional knowledge they had.
That's super helpful. That's I'm glad you shared that, because, really what I tell people is I'm just giving you access to my team, right? Like I've built a team. I learned the hard way years ago, that you can only get so far with YouTube University. There's only so much information you can consume, and then you really just don't have a lot of time to keep consuming all this information. And so I quickly learned that I needed a financial aid specialist, right? I needed a real estate specialist, a tax specialist, somebody that could specialize in all these areas. And we just started building out our team. And then ultimately our program is you just get access to our team. I mean, that's our program. We currently have an acquisition team. The acquisition team is finding houses that will make good scholarship houses, right? We've got a design team to design the houses. We've got a team to manage the houses. We've got a team to sell, for sales and marketing. We've got a team to market the houses. We've got a team to optimize the revenue of the houses. I mean, we've got a team for everything. And then the idea would be you just tap into our team. So talk to me about real estate. Like, have you ever wanted to get into real estate before?
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you asked, because like I'm really busy in my role, and I know a lot about like sales and marketing. And I even like early on, when I was like 21, 22, 23, I was like, oh, maybe I'll be like a financial planner. Like I always had an interest in like personal finance and like that category. But I never like spent any time studying or thinking about real estate. And it's always been like this thing that like my mom used to say when I was really young, like, oh, we have this friend, he's done so well, like, he's done real estate. And I was like, okay, like, it's just not me. So this idea of like this 50-50 partnership where you guys take, the management and the designing of the house and the listing of the house, it was like, yeah, I have to obviously put up the money, and I have to have some opinion about like which property and stuff. But the fact that you handle everything else, and I haven't done it yet, but that whole idea for me was very, very appealing, because I'm not like into learning the nitty gritty about real estate at this part of my life or career.
Yeah, I love that. And that's the other thing, is that I'm the same way. Like I actually made a video years ago, because I come from the financial background, and I made a video several years ago called 3 Ways to Triple Your Retirement Income. And the first way was real estate. I didn't get into the details of it. I just knew conceptually what a good investment it was. I saw it firsthand with my dad. My dad bought into real estate, into multifamily housing, years ago, never made more than $60,000 a year as an accountant, but retired at 57 because he had all this cash flow coming in from real estate investments. He actually borrowed the money, to invest in real estate initially. And then it worked out for him. But the point is I saw firsthand the benefits of real estate. I had just never done it. Most of my money was invested in my business. I've been an entrepreneur most of my life. And so I've always just invested into my business and to grow my business. And then of course, real estate I knew was good. I just didn't know the details like yourself. And so again, I thought, I've got to get me a team, get me a team that can find the houses, get me a team that can underwrite them and analyze all the numbers and the market analysis and like making sure it's a good buy, right? Making sure that it's a good purchase. And then I need a team that can design it and manage it, so again, I just built a team. And then the team, of course, I thought, hey, well, it works so well for me. Let me give access to my clients. I'll let my clients have access to my team. Yeah. And then we just grew the team to keep up with the clients. So anyway, that's very cool.
And one thing that I have to get to the place of, like, so buying into the program, I was like, oh, I absolutely want to do the 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ask AI about that part,
Mm-hmm.
but, and maybe we want to cut this from this interview, but we'll see.
No, you're good. You're good.
Is that, I did ask AI about this idea of a 50-50,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, Donnie, no, 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 no. Like, that's like way, way, way too expensive. Like,
Yeah.
management fees, like at most should be 10%.
Yeah.
You're paying like an extra 40% to like find the property and design the property. And then you have to pay for all the
Yep.
design. Like, it basically said like it was a bad financial decision.
Yeah.
And I'm actually, I don't know if maybe you want to answer it now. Like, I'm
Yeah.
curious, what would be your response to that?
I love that actually, and I'm happy to share. So yes, so you have to think about it. Like, first of all, when you are talking about long-term rentals, 10% is the going rate on a long-term rental, right? So when you go and buy a house, and you typically buy a house for where you're going to make a couple $100s a month or more. So it's like you're trying to be cash flow positive. So you buy a house, the mortgage is $1,800. You think you can get $2,000 a month in rent, plus some expenses. But the idea would be is you're going to be cash flow positive. If you don't want to be a landlord, and you don't want to manage it, then you would offset it to somebody else that would manage it for around 10%. That's typical. I would say 8 to 10%. Then there's the short-term rental space. In the short-term rental space, it's more like 20 to 30%. Kind of 25% is pretty typical. But even though you're paying a lot more for a property manager, they are checking guests in and out, managing the cleaners every week. They are dealing with the listing, getting it to the top of the Airbnb platforms and all the things. Like, you always have to separate it between real estate and owning a business. And that's why we call these scholarship house businesses. So if you are owning a scholarship house business, then you think about a successful business. It involves lots of people. I've been talking about all my team, right? Like, my team helps us run these scholarship house businesses. If we were talking about being landlords and getting tenants, then that would be a completely different story, because we just go buy a bunch of houses. We've got a lot of long-term tenants, and we pay 8 to 10% for a manager to manage them. I would never give up 50% ever. Like, that would be crazy, right? But now let's talk about, Amazon, for example. Jeff Bezos doesn't own 100% of Amazon. He's given up a huge chunk of the business. Even though he might only own a small percentage of Amazon, he still makes more money than anybody. So it's like he's got a lot of money with just a small ownership in the company. But that's because in a business, you need lots of people. Like, I have almost 50 people just on my team for my business, not counting all of these, houses that we're buying. So if you look at it in the eyes of a business, think about Shark Tank. How much time do you think that those sharks spend on these businesses that they're buying? Or do you think they have a team that they tap into?
Yeah, definitely a team.
Right. And so who are they investing in? They're investing in the person. When somebody pitches them an idea, they're either going to want to buy it outright 100% because they don't like the person, or they buy it because of the person, right? Yeah. They're like, dude, I'll take 30% of your company, because I believe in you, and they are the investor, and they're hands off, and they let that person just take the reins and go run with it. So in business, a lot of times you have a working partner and a financial partner. So the shark's the investor. They're the financial partner. They're ponying up the money, but the person is running the business, and doing all the work. So in this example, think about it like a business that you're investing in with me. So my team and I are going to be the ones that are going to run the business. You're more like the shark, right? You're more like the investor, right?
Yeah.
You're ponying up the money, but we're going to do all the work. Now, here's the cool part. It's not even really 50-50 if you think about it, though, because you get all the tax benefits.
Yeah.
Right? So you get all the tax benefits. Now, you might be the investor that invests the money, but when we sell the house, you also get your money back first before we split what's left 50-50. So really, you actually get the benefits of all the tax savings on top of an 8% minimum return or 50% of the revenue, whichever is better, Or, you also get 50% of the revenue on the exit. You get 50% on the exit or a refinance. We don't even have to sell them in 5 years. We could just refinance them in 5 years, get you your money back, and then split what's left 50-50 and then keep the thing running if it's a good cash cow. So
makes sense. Yeah, that was a great explanation.
So anyway,
analogies are always good too.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, that's the idea. And then obviously, if you wanted to do it yourself, then you could do that as well. And we can help you along the way. But the 50-50 is what most clients like because it's just easy. So very cool. And that is in the horizon, right? You're looking at that before the end of the year?
Before the end of the year, yeah.
Nice.
Because I want to get the tax savings for this calendar year. So it gives me some time.
Perfect. Awesome. Excellent. Well, very cool. Well, thank you. I'm glad you were able to share your experience. I know you're just getting started, so I know that we'll have to do a follow-up next year, see how many tax scholarships you got and see what kind of tax savings that you got. But then I still wanted to meet with you, and I'm glad you were able to share your experience of like onboarding, getting help with the team, getting access to our resources, because that's what people are sometimes skeptical about. Is it a scam? Which I'm glad you shared your experience. Is it a scam? Am I really going to get the help that I need? Because we talk about how you get unlimited access to your college funding specialist, and they can get you all the answers that you need. And so I'm glad you shared your experience. Very helpful.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm doing it.
Thanks for joining me. All right. So if you want to get a scholarship house business for your college funding and retirement funding, then click the link below and sign up and meet our team, right? Book an appointment with our team, and we'll be able to answer all your questions and be able to share all the details of how it's going to help your family. So click the link below in the description, and we'll be talking to you soon.